As Pope Francis is laid to rest, who will be his successor? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Today, a funeral is held for the late Pope Francis. He died following a stroke early Monday morning. The death occurred while he was still recovering from a respiratory illness that put him in the hospital for over a month, after a surprise Easter tour in the Pope-mobile, and less than 24 hours after a meeting with Vice President J.D. Vance, whom he had recently sparred with over the issue of immigration. Wait, did something happen? Now, I'm not making any accusations here, but let's look at the facts. We have a surprise meeting followed by a sudden death and a man with so many faces that people have forgotten what he actually looks like. Not to mention a recurring association with the number 47. Someone needs to check the back of Vance's head and see if there's a barcode. But in all seriousness, the feud between Pope Francis and Vice President Vance was symptomatic of a larger debate happening within the Catholic Church. Francis was seen as a very progressive liberal pope. In addition to his support for immigrants and refugees, he also promoted cooperation with other faiths, called global warming a sin, and even allowed blessings for same-sex couples. Although he did draw the line at abortion, referring to doctors who performed them as hitmen. Hitmen, you say? But anyway, now that the papal throne is empty, who will take that spot? Will we get Francis II and the continuation of his liberal policies? Or will the Vatican shift back towards a more conservative tradition? Well, there are two big factors at play. First, the College of Cardinals itself. This is the group of Catholic leaders who will vote on who will be the next pope during the upcoming Vatican conclave. Of the 133 cardinals who will be attending, 108 were appointed by Pope Francis. That's more than 80% of the vote. So the former pope's influence will definitely play a role. However, just because they were appointed by Francis, that doesn't mean they're ideologically uniform. Many moderate and conservative cardinals were picked as well, which leads us to the second factor: shifting membership in the Catholic Church, at least in the U.S. According to Pew Research, while Christianity's popularity in America has fallen off over the years, recently the numbers have stabilized. This suggests that, for the most part, everyone who was going to leave has already done so. So, who was lost? Well, while the number of Christians who identify as politically conservative did decline, the number of believers who identify as politically liberal absolutely fell off a cliff. So what you're left with is a much smaller church, but one that leans much more conservative, at least politically and at least in the United States. Does this trend in the U.S. indicate that the entire Catholic Church worldwide is shifting to be more conservative? It's hard to say for sure, but one thing that might give us a hint is who gets elected as pope. So who will ultimately take up the job? Technically, any baptized Catholic male can become pope, though in practice it usually boils down to the papabile, those prominent cardinals who are under 80 years of age. Leading the progressive faction, you have Luis Tagle, a cardinal bishop from the Philippines. He's been called the Asian Francis. Oft-cited are his calls for the church to be more accepting of gays, divorcees, and single mothers. This apparently made him the go-to candidate for the gay internet, which sounds like a computer cafe where people go to use Grindr. But if church leadership finds Tagle too radical, they may settle on a centrist candidate like Pietro Parolin, an Italian cardinal and Vatican Secretary of State known for a more cautious and diplomatic approach to social issues. These two have been at the top of the online betting markets. Though I will say you probably shouldn't be gambling on who will be the next pope. And I'm not even talking about it being a sin. Lord knows church bingo night stirred up enough controversy. What I mean is, if you're screaming at your TV waiting for a bunch of elderly priests to put out a puff of white smoke from the Vatican chimney, then you, sir, have a problem. Also joining the centrist wing is the Italian Cardinal Pizzaballa. Yes, that's his real name. And no, it's not also the name of an Italian rapper. I checked. But this guy was the Patriarch of Jerusalem, so he's seen some stuff. I'm talking intifadas, the 2014 Gaza war. He even offered himself up as a hostage in exchange for Israeli prisoners captured by Hamas. That's the sort of courage on display here. Render unto little Caesar what is Caesar's, but give credit to Pizza Balla. Anyway, the conservative faction also has a few options. There's been a lot of talk about Cardinal Robert Sarah, an arch-conservative who placed gender ideology on par with ISIS as a threat to families. This put him in direct conflict with Pope Francis. But while it's true that black don't crack, he is 79 years old, which makes his chances a little iffy. As an alternative, you have Cardinal Péter Erdo of Hungary. Like Cardinal Sarah, Erdo takes a strict traditionalist stance on issues like gay marriage and divorce. He's also a vocal critic of the migrant crisis currently hitting Europe. The next pope could be any of these men, or it could be none of them. Ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. But that has me thinking. Like I said, the only real requirement for becoming pope is that you're Catholic and male, which is why America Uncovered is officially endorsing Chris Christie for Bishop of Rome, Vicar of Christ, and Primate of Italy. Sure, he might embody the sin of gluttony, but that never stopped anyone. Sure didn't stop Clement IV. When we say return to tradition, we really mean a return to mutton legs and beer. But what do you think? Who will become the next pope? Place your bets in the comments below. The first person to guess correctly will get a special shout out from me, plus an extra 500 days in purgatory. And please, help us keep bringing you episodes like this. Subscribe to our new premium website, americauncovered.tv, and you'll also get exclusive content like live streams and more. Just click on this button that's been on screen. And if you love more content about God, you'll want to check out my gaming channel, where I talk about the beautiful new game Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and why so many video games have you end up killing God. Click here. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thank you for watching America Uncovered.